I'm not ashamed to own my Lord, nor to defend his cause. Maintain the honors of his word, the glory of his cross.
Hello, I'm James Brown, and on behalf of the Eastern Church of Christ located in Toronto, Canada, I'd like to welcome you to Thursday's edition of Walking Through the Bible, a podcast where we seek to study the Bible and the Bible alone. Please stick around afterwards for information on how you can contact us. But for now, if you have your Bible with you, please turn to the book of Genesis, and we'll turn the time over to Jeremy Disacamp for our study of the day.
Thank you, James, and welcome to all of our viewers. This is the 21st lesson in our study of Genesis. Yesterday, we covered Genesis chapter 3, verses 21 to 24, discussing the banishment of mankind from the Garden of Eden by God. If you missed that episode and would like to watch it, you can find it and all of our other podcasts on our website at www.eastendchurch.org. You can also find them on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/EastEndChurchOfChrist under the Walking Through the Bible Genesis playlist. Today we're going to begin with Genesis 4 verse 1 and read through verse 8. The text that you'll see on the screen is from the English Standard Version, but you're welcome to follow along with any version that you have. So let's now read Genesis 4, beginning at verse 1. Now Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, saying, I have gotten a man with the help of the Lord. And again she bore his brother Abel. Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, and Cain was a worker of the ground. In the course of time Cain brought to the Lord an offering of the fruit of the ground, and Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat portions. And the Lord had regard for Abel and his offering, but for Cain and his offering he had no regard. So Cain was very angry, and his face fell. The Lord said to Cain, Why are you angry, and why has your face fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not well, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must rule over it. Cain spoke to Abel his brother, and when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Having been expelled from the Garden of Eden, now being forced to live more difficult lives because of their sin, Adam and Eve move on to the business of obeying God's command from Genesis 1:28, which was to be fruitful and multiply. Knowing how long it takes a pregnant woman to give birth, and knowing that God wasn't displeased that Adam and Eve had not yet had children, would lead to the conclusion that the time between creation and the first sin was not exceptionally long. Was it days, weeks, months? Perhaps. But it wasn't thousands of years, as some suggest, as a way of reconciling the Bible and evolution. The firstborn was Cain, while the secondborn is Abel. I find it admirable that even though that it was through the physical process of sexual reproduction that Cain was conceived and born, Eve still gave God the glory for providing her children. That's something we should emulate when we are blessed with children, for it is God who created us in the first place. We find that when these two brothers grew up, they had different jobs. Cain was a farmer of the field, while Abel was a shepherd. Between verse 2 and verse 3, many years go by. How many, we do not know. During which time Adam and Eve had to have more children, because we'll read of Cain being married later on in this chapter, as well as others inhabiting this earth. Since Eve is the mother of all living, according to chapter 3:20, these other people must have been children of Adam and Eve and their descendants. Following this passage of time, Cain and Abel both come to offer sacrifices to God. It is obvious then that God has commanded these sacrifices, even though we don't have it recorded. Abel offered of the firstborn of his flock and of the fat of it, while Cain offered of the fruit of the ground. Abel's sacrifice was accepted, while Cain's sacrifice was rejected. What was wrong with Cain's sacrifice? There has been much speculation on the topic, but the only clue we get is found in Hebrews chapter 11, verse 4, which says that by faith Abel offered a more acceptable sacrifice. A lack of faith was what was wrong with Cain's sacrifice. Whether that meant that Cain didn't offer what God commanded, or he didn't offer it in the way God had commanded, or because he didn't offer it from his heart, we don't know. But the fact remains that Cain didn't offer his sacrifice in faith. Cain was angry because his sacrifice was rejected, but God told him that if he had done what was right, he would have been accepted. But because he didn't, he sinned, and and sin laid at the door. What a foolish reaction by Cain, for instead of being angry with himself and correcting the situation, he got angry at God and then at his brother Abel. This anger led to hatred of Abel, which ultimately led to the first murder in the Bible, when Cain rose up and killed Abel. Let us learn from Cain not to let hatred fill our hearts and control us. Instead, let's deal with our problems in a godly manner before the sin of hatred leads to further sin down the road. With that, our time is up for today. Please join us, the Lord willing, tomorrow when we will continue our study with Genesis, beginning with Genesis 4, verse 9.
Thank you, Jeremy. And to our viewers, we also thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. Should you have any questions or comments, please leave a comment below or email us at answerintheword@gmail.com. We'll try to respond to you as quickly as we can. We hope you'll join us, the Lord willing, tomorrow when we'll be continuing our study of the book of Genesis. Goodbye for now and have a great day.
I'm not